The Galactic Federation's most wanted list updates, and Earth claims the top spot. The reason? An unidentified deadliest weapon lurking in every human home. Nicholas Burns, 35, former U.S. Marine and current NSA analyst, squints at his computer screen, decoding an urgent encrypted message. The clock reads 2:37 a.m. Alarms blare. Red lights flash. The secure underground facility springs to life. Nicholas bolts from his chair, sprinting down sterile corridors. His heart pounds as he bursts into the command center. General Hawkins stands before a wall of screens, his face grim. Burns, we're under attack. The Terrian battle fleet has breached our outer defenses. Nicholas scans the displays. Alien ships swarm Earth's orbit. How long do we have, sir? Minutes. They're approaching major population centers. It's time to activate Project Homefront. Nicholas nods, moving to a secure terminal. His fingers fly across the keyboard, initiating a global broadcast. Attention all civilians. This is not a drill. Prepare your homes for defense. Activate all household items as instructed in the emergency protocols. As Nicholas works, Lita, a lab assistant, watches intently. Her human disguise conceals her Terrian features as she transmits data to the invasion fleet. Cities worldwide begin to glow with an eerie blue light. Every home becomes a beacon of resistance. The Terrian ships enter Earth's atmosphere, sleek and menacing. Reports flood in. Alien forces repelled by ordinary objects turn lethal. Toasters firing plasma bolts. Refrigerators emitting force fields. Vacuum cleaners launching miniature black holes. General Hawkins grips Nicholas's shoulder. We need eyes on the ground. Lead a team to the suburbs. Assess Project Homefront's effectiveness. Nicholas gears up, strapping on body armor and checking his weapon. He leads a squad of 4 to the surface. The night sky erupts with explosions as Earth's improvised arsenal engages the Terrian fleet. They speed through empty streets in an armored vehicle. Suburban homes loom ahead, transformed into fortified positions. Blue energy crackles around white picket fences. Garden gnomes pivot, tracking incoming threats. Nicholas spots movement. Terrian ground forces approach, weapons raised. He signals his team to take cover behind a minivan. As they prepare to defend, the garage door of a nearby house slides open. Inside, a typical American family stands ready. The father holds a modified leaf blower, humming with power. The mother aims a repurposed food processor, its blades glowing. Even the children clutch weaponized toys. Nicholas realizes the true genius of Project Homefront. It's not just the weapons, it's the people wielding them. Ordinary civilians transformed into Earth's last line of defense. He turns to his team, determination etched on his face. Let's show these aliens why Earth topped their most wanted list. It's time to take back our planet, one household at a time. Nicholas and his team advance cautiously through the quiet suburban streets, their senses on high alert. The eerie blue glow emanating from each house casts long shadows across manicured lawns. As they approached a 2-story colonial home, the garage door slid open with a soft whir. Stay alert, Nicholas whispered, motioning his team to take defensive positions. A middle-aged man stepped out, his hands gripping what appeared to be a modified vacuum cleaner. The device hummed with awe-inspiring energy, its nozzle glowing an ominous blue. "Mr. Johnson?" Nicholas called out, lowering his weapon slightly. The man nodded, his eyes never leaving the sky. "You must be the team from command. Come inside quickly. They're coming." Nicholas and his squad followed Mr. Johnson into the house. The interior was a stark contrast to the peaceful suburban facade. Every household item seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. In the kitchen, Mrs. Johnson stood at attention, her hands resting on a transformed microwave oven. "Sir," she addressed Nicholas, "the EMP generator is ready. We can disable their shields within a 500-meter radius." Nicholas nodded, taking in the scene. "Impressive. How long did it take you to set all this up?" "Instructions came through about an hour ago," Mr. Johnson replied. "The upgrades were automatic, like magic, really." A teenage boy burst into the room, his eyes wide with excitement and fear. "Dad, 3 Terrian dropships, approaching from the northeast." "Good work, Tommy," Mr. Johnson said, turning to Nicholas. "My son's been monitoring our defense grid. Every house on the block is connected." Nicholas moved to the window, peering out at the neighboring homes. Each one glowed with the same blue energy, forming a cohesive defensive line. He tapped his comm unit. "Command, this is Burns. Project Homefront is operational in Sector 7. Requesting status update on other sectors." General Hawkins's voice crackled through. "Copy that, Burns. Similar reports coming in worldwide. But we've got a new problem. Terrian fleet is targeting power plants and communication hubs. We need to expand our defensive perimeter." Nicholas's mind raced. He looked around the room, his eyes landing on a row of gardening tools propped against the wall. "Sir, I have an idea. We can use modified lawn equipment as mobile defense units. Create energy fields around key infrastructure." "Do it," Hawkins ordered. "And Burns, we're picking up some strange readings. The aliens seem to be avoiding areas with high concentrations of fast food joints and convenience stores. See if you can figure out why." "Copy that, sir," Nicholas replied, his brow furrowing in confusion. Suddenly, the house shook as explosions rocked the sky above. Through the window, Nicholas saw Terrian dropships descending, their weapons firing indiscriminately. "They're here," Tommy shouted from his monitoring station. Mr. Johnson raised his vacuum-turned plasma cannon. "Let's show these aliens what Earth hospitality looks like." Nicholas turned to his team. "Johnson family, maintain this position. Protect the EMP generator at all costs. Alpha team, with me. We're going to coordinate with the neighboring houses and set up a crossfire." As they moved out, Nicholas caught a glimpse of movement in his peripheral vision. A figure darted between houses, too quick and purposeful to be a panicked civilian. He tapped his second-in-command on the shoulder. "Keep an eye out. We might have an infiltrator." The team spread out, each taking position behind various suburban obstacles, minivans, barbecue grills, and garden sheds. The air crackled with energy as house after house activated their defenses. Terrian ground forces materialized from their dropships, their alien forms a stark contrast to the perfectly trimmed lawns. They advanced with military precision, only to be met with a barrage of household fury. A toaster from the house next door launched a volley of plasma bolts, catching the first line of Terrians off guard. From another home, a modified sprinkler system sprayed a caustic substance that ate through alien armor like acid. Nicholas watched in awe as ordinary citizens joined the fight. A young couple wielded tennis rackets that now generated force fields, deflecting Terrian energy weapons. An elderly woman directed a swarm of metallic knitting needles, which darted through the air with deadly accuracy, seeking out weak points in alien exoskeletons. In the midst of the chaos, Nicholas spotted the figure he'd seen earlier. It was a woman, her movements too fluid to be human. She was crouched near a power substation, her hands moving over a control panel. "Lita," Nicholas muttered, recognizing the lab assistant from the facility. He should have known she was too good to be true. He signaled to his team, then began to move towards her position. But before he could reach her, the substation sparked and powered down. For a moment, the blue glow of the defense grid flickered. Lita smirked, but her victory was short-lived. The Johnsons' house pulsed with energy, and suddenly the entire block lit up again, brighter than before. Nicholas's comm unit crackled. It was Tommy's voice. Detected an intrusion attempt. Our smart home system neutralized it and boosted the entire grid. You're welcome. Lita hissed in frustration, her human disguise flickering to reveal Terrian features. She turned to flee, but found herself face to face with Nicholas. Going somewhere? He asked, his weapon trained on her. Before she could respond, a series of explosions rocked the area. The Terrian ships were targeting a nearby power plant, their weapons far more powerful than anything the suburban arsenal could produce. Nicholas knew they needed to act fast. He turned to his team. New objective. We need to extend our defense to that power plant. And, he paused, remembering General Hawkins' strange order, we need to gather samples from fast food restaurants and convenience stores. There might be something there the Terrians are afraid of. As his team looked at him in confusion, Nicholas allowed himself a grim smile. Sometimes, the key to saving the world comes from the most unexpected places. Let's move out. The suburban battlefield continued to rage around them, Earth's most mundane objects transformed into its most potent defense. And somewhere in the chaos of repurposed appliances and weaponized garden tools, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Nicholas turned to his team, his mind racing with the implications of General Hawkins's strange order. We need to gather samples from fast food restaurants and convenience stores. There might be something there the Terrians are afraid of. Sergeant Mike Thompson and Corporal Sarah Perry exchanged puzzled glances. Sir, with all due respect, are we really going on a snack run in the middle of an alien invasion? Thompson asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. Nicholas understood their skepticism, but years of military experience had taught him to trust his instincts. Sometimes, the most unexpected things can turn the tide of battle. Let's move. The team moved swiftly through the chaos-filled streets, dodging debris and sidestepping the occasional malfunctioning lawn ornament turned weapon. They approached a McDonald's, its golden arches still glowing defiantly in the face of the alien assault. As they entered the deserted restaurant, Nicholas couldn't help but feel a surreal sense of normalcy amidst the chaos outside. The smell of fries and grilled meat hung in the air, a stark contrast to the acrid scent of plasma weapons and burning rubble. Grab everything you can, Nicholas ordered. Burgers, fries, drinks, the works. The team quickly filled their backpacks with an assortment of menu items. As they exited the restaurant, Nicholas spotted a group of Terrian soldiers approaching cautiously. The aliens seemed wary, their movements hesitant as they neared the fast food joint. Look at that, Perry whispered. They're acting like the place is radioactive or something. Nicholas nodded, his suspicions growing. Let's hit the 7-Eleven next. At the convenience store, they gathered an eclectic mix of snacks, energy drinks, and household cleaning products. As Perry was stuffing a bag full of chips into her pack, Nicholas's comm unit crackled to life. Burns, this is Hawkins. We've got reports of the Terrian fleet targeting food distribution centers and warehouses storing processed foods. Whatever you're onto, it's big. Get that intel back to base ASAP. Nicholas's mind raced. Copy that. Sir, we're on our way. As they made their way back to the Johnson family's home, Nicholas formulated a plan. We need to set up a makeshift lab. If there's something in our food that affects the Terrians, we need to find out what it is. Back at the house, they commandeered the garage, setting up analysis equipment cobbled together from Project Homefront tech and household items. Mr. Johnson, his engineering background proving invaluable, assisted in calibrating the machines. Hours passed as they worked tirelessly, analyzing samples and cross-referencing data. Nicholas pored over readouts, his eyes burning from fatigue but his mind sharp with adrenaline. Suddenly, Perry let out an exclamation. Sir, you need to see this. Nicholas rushed over, examining the screen she was pointing to. The data showed a clear correlation between certain combinations of preservatives and artificial additives, and their effects on simulated Terrian physiology. "It's the junk food," Nicholas breathed, the realization hitting him like a thunderbolt. "Our bodies have adapted to it over decades, but to the Terrians, it's like poison." As if to confirm his theory, reports began flooding in from the front lines. Terrian ground forces were suffering mysterious ailments after coming into contact with human food products. Some experienced severe allergic reactions, while others displayed symptoms of intoxication or disorientation. Nicholas quickly contacted General Hawkins, outlining his findings and proposing a daring plan. "Sir, we need to weaponize this. We can modify our existing defense systems to disperse a fine mist of liquefied junk food. It could turn the tide of the entire invasion." There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then Hawkins's gruff voice came through. "Do it, Burns. Whatever it takes." With the general's approval, Nicholas and his team sprang into action. They began retrofitting the neighborhood sprinkler systems and modified household appliances to disperse the new junk food weapon. In the Johnsons' kitchen, they created a concentrated mixture of soft drinks, artificial flavors, and preservatives. As Nicholas stirred the concoction, he couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity of it all. "I hereby dub this Operation Soda Pop," he announced, earning a few much-needed laughs from his weary team. As they worked, the sounds of battle drew closer. The Terrian forces were pressing their attack on the suburb, clearly desperate to neutralize the human resistance. "They're coming," Tommy shouted from his monitoring station. Nicholas nodded grimly. "It's now or never. Activate the system." With a push of a button, the newly modified defense grid hummed to life. A fine mist of the junk food concoction filled the air, creating a shimmering haze over the suburban battlefield. The effect on the advancing Terrian forces was immediate and dramatic. Alien soldiers began to cough and wheeze, their movements becoming erratic. Some stumbled and fell, while others fired their weapons wildly, missing their targets. Nicholas watched in awe as the invaders' combat effectiveness crumbled before his eyes. He quickly got on the comm, contacting other defense coordination centers around the world. "This is Nicholas Burns. We've discovered a new weapon against the Terrians. Transmitting formula and implementation instructions now. Codename, Operation Soda Pop." As the defense centers acknowledged his transmission, Nicholas turned his attention back to the battle raging outside. The Terrian forces were in full retreat, their carefully planned assault turned into a chaotic rout by the most unlikely of weapons, Earth's processed foods. In the sky above, Terrian ships began to veer off course, their pilots likely suffering from the same afflictions as the ground troops. Several vessels careened into each other, creating spectacular explosions that lit up the night sky. Nicholas's comm unit crackled once again. It was General Hawkins. "Burns, we're getting reports of Terrian ships crash landing all over the globe. I need you to lead a team to secure one of the nearby crash sites. We need to gather intelligence and potentially reverse engineer their tech." "Understood, sir," Nicholas replied, already mentally preparing for the new mission. He turned to his team, seeing the same mix of exhaustion and purpose in their eyes that he felt himself. "All right, people. We've won this battle, but the war's not over. We're heading to a crash site. Load up on ammo, both the conventional kind and our new secret weapon." As they geared up, Nicholas couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. Earth's much-maligned junk food industry, often criticized for its negative health effects, had just played a crucial role in saving humanity from an alien invasion. With a nod to the Johnson family, who had proved invaluable in this fight, Nicholas led his team out into the night. The air was thick with the sweet, artificial scent of their improbable victory, and in the distance, the glow of a crashed Terrian ship beckoned. Whatever challenges awaited them at the crash site, Nicholas knew that humanity's ingenuity and its junk food would see them through. As Nicholas led his team towards the crash site, the sweet scent of victory gave way to the acrid smell of burning metal and alien technology. The forest loomed before them, its usual serenity shattered by the Terrian ship's violent descent. Smoke rose from a clearing ahead, guiding them to their destination. Nicholas signaled for his team to spread out and approach with caution. As they emerged from the tree line, the full scale of the crash became apparent. The Terrian vessel, sleek and otherworldly, had carved a deep furrow into the earth. Debris littered the area, some still smoldering from the impact. "Secure the perimeter," Nicholas ordered, his voice low and steady. "Thompson, Perry with me. We're going in." The team moved with practiced efficiency, their weapons at the ready. As they approached the ship's torn hull, Nicholas couldn't help but marvel at the alien technology. Even in its damaged state, it was far beyond anything humanity had achieved. Inside the ship, emergency lights flickered, casting an eerie blue glow over the twisted metal. Nicholas spotted a console that seemed relatively intact. "This must be the data core," he muttered, pulling out a modified tablet. "Cover me while I extract the information." As Nicholas worked, Perry's voice crackled over the comm. "Sir, we've got movement on the lower level. Looks like a survivor." Nicholas's heart raced. This was an unprecedented opportunity. Bring them in, but stay alert. Moments later, Perry and Thompson entered, escorting a Terrian. To Nicholas's surprise, the alien appeared female, her features more delicate than the male soldiers they had encountered. "I am Zira," she said, her voice carrying an odd, musical quality. "I surrender myself to your custody." Nicholas studied her closely. Unlike the other Terrians they had encountered, Zira seemed largely unaffected by their junk food weapon. "Interesting," he murmured. "We'll need to run some tests when we get back to base." As they secured Zira, Nicholas noticed her gaze lingering on their modified equipment. Her eyes widened with what seemed like fascination as she took in the repurposed household items turned weapons. Before Nicholas could question her further, his comm unit buzzed. General Hawkins's voice came through, tense and urgent. "Burns, we've got a situation. The Terrian fleet is targeting our agricultural areas. They're trying to force us to deplete our processed food supplies." Nicholas's mind raced, quickly assessing the implications. "Sir, we need to protect our food production. I have an idea. We could create agricultural domes, using our modified household tech and junk food-based force fields." There was a brief pause before Hawkins responded. "Do it. I'll get the wheels in motion. And Burns, we've got another development. That Terrian infiltrator, Lita, she's been captured by civilians. But she managed to send a partial transmission to the fleet before we got her." Nicholas felt a chill run down his spine. "Any idea what was in the message?" "Negative," Hawkins replied. "But whatever it was, it can't be good for us. Get back to base as soon as possible. We need to analyze that ship's data and figure out our next move." As Nicholas ended the call, he turned to his team. "All right, people, let's pack up and move out. And keep a close eye on our guest." They made their way back through the forest, the weight of their discoveries and new challenges hanging heavy in the air. Nicholas glanced at Zira, who walked between Thompson and Perry, her alien eyes darting curiously from one piece of human technology to another. The suburban battlefield they had left behind now seemed like a distant memory. As they emerged from the forest, Nicholas could see plumes of smoke on the horizon, evidence of the Terrians' new strategy. "Sir," Thompson said, breaking the tense silence, "do you really think we can win this? I mean, they're so advanced." Nicholas looked at his team, then at the makeshift weapons they carried. A bizarre mix of alien tech and repurposed human items. He thought of the junk food that had turned the tide of battle, and of the agricultural domes they would build with toasters and microwave ovens. "We've got something they don't, Thompson," Nicholas replied. "Adaptability, creativity, and a whole lot of processed cheese." As they approached the command center, Nicholas could already see the bustling activity. Scientists and engineers huddled over workstations, analyzing data and modifying equipment. In one corner, a group was constructing a prototype of the agricultural dome, its framework built from an intricate network of coat hangers and TV antennas. General Hawkins strode towards them, his face a mix of exhaustion and purpose. "Burns, good to have you back. We've got work to do." Nicholas nodded, gesturing toward Zira. "Sir, we've got a Terrian prisoner, and a whole lot of data to sift through." The general's eyes widened slightly at the sight of Zira, but quickly returned to their usual intense look. "Get her to the research wing. And Burns, I want you leading the analysis of that ship's data. We need answers, and we need them fast." As Nicholas turned to carry out his orders, he caught sight of a monitor showing news footage from around the world. Terrian ships loomed over fields and farmlands, their weapons carving destruction into Earth's food supply. But alongside these images, he saw the first of the agricultural domes taking shape, shimmering force fields powered by an improbable mixture of junk food and human ingenuity. The battle for Earth's future was not nearly finished, but as Nicholas looked around at the determined faces of his team and the bizarre arsenal they had cobbled together, he felt a glimmer of hope. They had turned their everyday items into weapons once. Now, they would have to do it again and again until this war was won. With a deep breath, Nicholas steeled himself for the challenges ahead. It was time to turn Earth's household junk into the galaxy's most powerful weapons, one microwave oven at a time. Nicholas shook his head, refocusing on the task at hand. The makeshift command center hummed with activity as he made his way to the research wing, Zira in tow. "Dr. Chen," Nicholas called out to the lead scientist, "we need to analyze this Terrian's biology. She seems resistant to our junk food weapons." Dr. Chen nodded, gesturing to a nearby examination table. As Zira was carefully secured, Nicholas turned his attention to the data from the crashed ship. Hours passed in a blur of analysis and revelation. Nicholas's eyes widened as he pieced together the puzzle of Terrian biology. "It's their adaptability," he muttered, drawing the attention of nearby researchers. "They consume a specific nutrient on their home world that allows for rapid genetic adjustment. Our processed foods lack this nutrient, which is why they were vulnerable initially." General Hawkins strode into the room, his face grim. "Burns, we've got a situation. Lita's been spotted near the Coca-Cola plant in Atlanta. We think she's planning to sabotage our weapon production." Nicholas nodded, quickly formulating a plan. "Send Sergeant Thompson and his team to secure the facility. We can't afford to lose our junk food weapon capabilities." As Hawkins relayed the orders, Nicholas turned back to the Terrian ship schematics. An idea began to form in his mind, wild and desperate, but potentially game-changing. "Sir," he said, turning to Hawkins, "I think we can modify this crash ship, integrate our household tech and junk food weapons. It could be our ticket to infiltrating their fleet." Hawkins raised an eyebrow. "You want to fly a jury-rigged alien ship into the heart of their armada?" Nicholas nodded. "It's crazy, but it might be our best shot." "Do it," Hawkins ordered after a moment's consideration. "But make it fast. Our window of opportunity is closing." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Nicholas and his team worked around the clock, transforming the Terrian vessel into a bizarre hybrid of alien technology and Earth's household items. Microwave emitters were retrofitted to the ship's weapons array, while a complex network of modified kitchen appliances formed the core of its defensive systems. "We're calling it the Blender," Corporal Sarah Perry announced with a grin, patting the ship's hull. because it's a real mix of everything we've got. As they worked, reports came in from around the world. The agricultural domes were holding, but the Terrians were adapting faster than anticipated. Zira's resistance to junk food was not unique. More and more the alien invaders were showing signs of increased tolerance. Nicholas was putting the finishing touches on the blender's navigation systems when Hawkins burst into the hangar, his face ashen. Our orbital defenses just picked up a new wave of Terrian ships entering the solar system, the general announced. Initial scans show they've modified their shields. Our junk food weapons might not be effective much longer. Nicholas's mind raced. They were running out of time. He turned to Hawkins, his expression resolute. "Sir, I have a proposal. Instead of just infiltrating their fleet, we go for their command ship. If we can capture it, we might be able to broadcast a surrender order to the entire invasion force." Hawkins stared at Nicholas for a long moment, weighing the audacity of the plan against their dwindling options. "It's a hell of a risk, Burns. If you fail." "I know, sir," Nicholas replied, "but we're out of alternatives." The general nodded grimly. "Do it, but choose your team carefully. This mission is our last hope." As Nicholas began assembling his infiltration team, a breakthrough from the research division caught his attention. Dr. Chim rushed in, waving a tablet excitedly. "We've found a weakness in their tech," she exclaimed. "The Terrian systems are highly susceptible to interference from Earth's old analog signals." Nicholas's eyes lit up. "Get every analog broadcast network on the planet reactivated. We'll create a global jamming field against their comms." As preparations for the mission reached their final stages, Nicholas received word that Thompson's team had successfully defended the Coca-Cola plant. Lita had escaped once again, but Earth's junk food weapon production remained secure. Nicholas gathered his infiltration team, himself, Corporal Perry, and 2 other specially trained operatives. After a moment's hesitation, he decided to bring Zira along. Her knowledge of Terrian systems could prove invaluable. Just as they were about to board the blender, General Hawkins approached, carrying a small, sealed container. "One last addition to your arsenal," he said, handing the container to Nicholas. "We're calling it the ultimate meal. It's a hyper-concentrated form of our most potent junk food. It should overwhelm even the most adapted Terrian physiology, but be warned, we don't know what it'll do to humans. Use it only as a last resort." Nicholas nodded, securing the container in the blender's storage compartment. As he strapped himself into the pilot's seat, he surveyed his team. Their faces were a mix of dedication and apprehension, mirroring his own feelings. "All right, people," he said, his hands moving over the bizarre control panel of toaster dials and repurposed game controllers. "Let's go save the world." The blender's engines roared to life, a cacophony of alien technology and the hum of household appliances. As they lifted off, Nicholas could see the shimmering domes of the agricultural defenses below, Earth's last line of protection against the Terrian onslaught. As they ascended through the atmosphere, the vastness of space opened up before them. In the distance, the imposing silhouettes of the Terrian fleet loomed, a stark reminder of the challenge that lay ahead. Nicholas took a deep breath, his hands steady on the controls. They were heading into the heart of enemy territory, armed with nothing more than modified appliances, processed food, and human ingenuity. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders, and failure was not an option. The blender accelerated, its patchwork systems humming with power as it carried Earth's last hope towards the alien armada. The next few hours would determine the future of the human race, and Nicholas was determined to make every second count. The blender accelerated towards the Terrian fleet, its unconventional design allowing it to slip past the alien sensors undetected. As they approached the massive command ship, Nicholas activated their defensive shields, causing a faint aroma of fast food to permeate the cockpit. "Smells like success," Corporal Perry quipped, her eyes fixed on the looming alien vessel. Nicholas nodded, his hands steady on the controls. Let's hope it tastes like victory. Zira, guide us in. The Terrian prisoner-turned-ally pointed to a vulnerable spot on the ship's hull. There, that section houses auxiliary systems. It should be less guarded. With practiced precision, Nicholas maneuvered the blender into position. The repurposed garbage disposal whirred to life, its reinforced blades cutting through the alien metal with surprising ease. As the impromptu airlock sealed around the newly created opening, Nicholas turned to his team. Remember, we're here to upload the virus and broadcast the surrender order. Stay focused, stay alive. They moved swiftly through the Terrian ship's corridors, Zira's knowledge proving invaluable as she guided them past patrols and through maintenance tunnels. The alien architecture was a stark contrast to the blender's jury-rigged interior, all sleek lines and pulsing bioluminescent panels. As they approached the junction, the sound of Terrian voices echoed from around the corner. Nicholas held up a fist, signaling the team to halt. Peering around the edge, he saw a group of alien engineers huddled around a console, their elongated fingers dancing over holographic displays. They're working on countering the analog interference, Zira whispered, her eyes widening with concern. Nicholas reached into his pocket, pulling out a modified TV remote. Not for long, he muttered, aiming the device at the unsuspecting Terrians. With a press of a button, a burst of scrambled signals erupted from the remote. The Terrians' personal energy shields flickered and died, leaving them exposed. Before they could react, Perry and the other operatives unleashed a barrage from their weaponized hairdryers, the concentrated blast of superheated air rendering the aliens unconscious. Nice work, Nicholas commended, leading the team past the incapacitated engineers. Now, let's find that computer core. They moved deeper into the ship, the corridors becoming wider and more ornate. Zira pointed to a massive set of doors at the end of the hall. There, that's the central hub. As they approached, alarms began to blare throughout the ship. A booming voice echoed over the intercom system, the alien language incomprehensible to human ears. Commander Zax, Zira translated, her face paling. He's ordering a full lockdown. They know we're here. Nicholas's mind raced, quickly assessing their options. Perry, take Johnson and head for the power core. Plant the explosives as planned. We'll proceed to the bridge and upload the virus. As Perry's team split off, Nicholas, Zira, and the remaining operative pushed forward. The ship security systems activated, force fields springing to life and cutting off their escape routes. Terrian security forces poured into the corridors, their weapons charged and ready. Time for our secret weapon, Nicholas announced, pulling out a canister of the aerosolized ultimate meal. He triggered the release, filling the air with a sickly sweet mist. The effect on the Terrian soldiers was immediate and dramatic. Their movements became sluggish, eyes unfocused as the concentrated junk food overwhelmed their senses. Many simply slumped to the ground, succumbing to a food coma of unprecedented proportions. Taking advantage of the confusion, Nicholas and his team pressed on, finally reaching the bridge. The doors hissed open, revealing a vast chamber dominated by a panoramic view of Earth and the surrounding space. At the center stood Commander Zax, his imposing figure radiating fury and disbelief. Impossible, the alien leader snarled in accented English. How did you primitive creatures manage this? Nicholas raised his modified waffle iron, its surface gleaming with an energy-dispersing coating. Never underestimate human ingenuity, Zax, or the power of processed food. As Zax raised his energy weapon, Nicholas braced himself behind the makeshift shield. The alien commander fired, the blast deflecting off the waffle iron's surface and scorching the ceiling. In the chaos that followed, Zira lunged for a nearby console, her fingers flying over the alien controls. Nicholas, she called out, I can broadcast to the fleet from here. Dodging another blast from Zax, Nicholas tossed Zira a data chip containing the virus and surrender message. Do it. Upload everything. As Zira worked feverishly at the console, Nicholas engaged in a desperate struggle with Zax. The alien commander's superior strength was matched by Nicholas's resourcefulness. Each exchange of blows a testament to the tenacity of both sides. Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Perry's voice crackled over the comm system. Charges are set, Burns. This place is going to blow. Nicholas delivered a final, decisive blow to Zax with the edge of his waffle iron shield, sending the alien commander stumbling backward. Zira, status? Broadcast complete, she replied, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and exhilaration. The virus is spreading through their systems. Then let's get the hell out of here, Nicholas ordered, leading the team towards the exit. They raced through the corridors, past confused and incapacitated Terrians, the ship's alarms blaring in their ears. As they reached the blender, Nicholas could feel the Terrian vessel beginning to break apart around them. With practiced efficiency, they detached from the dying command ship and accelerated away. Through the blender's viewports, they watched as the massive alien vessel erupted in a spectacular display of light and debris. As they set a course back to Earth, the comm system crackled to life. General Hawkins's voice filled the cockpit, his tone a mix of relief and urgency. Burns, you've done it. The Terrian fleet is in disarray. But we've got a new problem. Long-range sensors have picked up something big heading our way. Something that makes the Terrians look like a warm-up act. Nicholas exchanged glances with his team, the weight of this new threat settling over them. As Earth grew larger in their view, he began to formulate a new plan. Whatever this new danger was, they would face it the same way they'd faced the Terrians, with purpose, creativity, and perhaps a few more household items repurposed into improbable weapons. The battle for Earth was far from finished, but humanity had proven its resilience. As the blender entered the atmosphere, Nicholas allowed himself a small smile. They had overcome one impossible odds. They would do it again. Nicholas's small smile faded as he processed General Hawkins's words. The blender's makeshift control panel beeped urgently, signaling their rapid descent through Earth's atmosphere. New contact, sir, Corporal Perry reported, her eyes fixed on a repurposed microwave display. Massive energy signatures entering the solar system. As they touched down on the landing pad, a team of harried-looking technicians swarmed the ship. Nicholas barely had time to unbuckle before a young officer appeared at the hatch. Captain Burns, sir. General Hawkins requests your presence immediately. Nicholas nodded, turning to his team. Get some rest. I have a feeling we'll need it soon. He followed the officer through a maze of corridors, the walls lined with hastily mounted screens displaying tactical data. They descended into an underground bunker, the air thick with tension and the hum of overworked equipment. General Hawkins stood at the center of a circular room, surrounded by holographic displays and frantic personnel. His face was grim as he spotted Nicholas. Burns, glad you made it. Meet Dr. Marcus Perry. A disheveled man in a lab coat looked up from a console, his eyes bright with a mix of excitement and fear. Captain, your timing is impeccable. We're facing a threat unlike anything we've encountered. Dr. Perry manipulated the holographic display, revealing a fleet of sleek, angular ships advancing through the solar system. We're calling them the Zoraxians. Their technology, it's light years beyond the Terrians. Nicholas studied the display, his mind racing. What about our defenses? The junk food weapons? The analog interference? Hawkins shook his head. Useless. These bastards seem immune to everything we threw at the Terrians. Dr. Perry interjected, his words tumbling out in a rush. They're using some form of quantum computing. It allows them to adapt to our defenses at an alarming rate. We barely understand how it works, let alone how to counter it. A commotion at the entrance drew their attention. Sergeant Thompson burst in, his uniform splattered with something that looked suspiciously like cotton candy. "Sir, we've cornered Lita in the old Coney Island amusement park. She's holed up in the funhouse." Nicholas's eyes widened. Lita, the elusive Terrian infiltrator, had been a thorn in their side for months. But now... "We need her alive," Nicholas said, his mind already formulating a plan. "She knows both Terrian and human tech. That knowledge could be crucial against these Zoraxians." Hawkins nodded. "Take whatever you need, but make it fast. Those alien bastards are knocking on our door." As Nicholas assembled a team for the Coney Island mission, alarms blared throughout the bunker. A technician's panicked voice cut through the chaos. "Energy drain detected. Multiple satellites entering Earth orbit." Dr. Perry's face paled. "They're targeting our power grids. If we lose power, we lose our weapons," Nicholas finished grimly. As they watched, cities across the holographic globe began to darken. The household item weapons that had proven so effective against the Terrians were suddenly rendered useless. Nicholas turned to Dr. Perry. "We need a solution. Fast." The scientist's eyes darted around the room, landing on a discarded solar-powered calculator. "Wait. What if we—" "Captain, how many homes have solar panels these days?" "Millions," Nicholas replied, realization dawning. "And every car has a battery." Dr. Perry nodded excitedly. "If we could network them, create a decentralized power grid." "We could keep our weapons online," Nicholas finished. He turned to General Hawkins. "Sir, we need to broadcast instructions to every household in the world. Tell them how to connect their solar panels and car batteries to the nearest weapon system." As Hawkins set the plan in motion, the bunker shook violently. A voice crackled over the intercom. "Zoracian ground forces deployed. They're massive, like walking tanks." Nicholas gritted his teeth. "We need to buy time for the new power grid to come online. What do we have that can penetrate their armor?" A young engineer spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. "Sir, the municipal vehicle depot. We have a fleet of riding lawnmowers. If we could modify them with industrial-grade circular saw blades." Nicholas nodded approvingly. "Do it. And get me to Coney Island. We need Lita's intel more than ever." As Nicholas raced towards the surface, the sky above New York City filled with the ominous silhouettes of Zoracian ships. The battle for Earth had entered a new, desperate phase, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. In the distance, the first modified lawnmowers roared to life, their blades gleaming in the fading sunlight as they charged towards the advancing Zoracian ground forces. Nicholas knew the real fight was just beginning, and they would need every scrap of human ingenuity to survive. As they raced towards Coney Island, Nicholas's comm device crackled to life with an urgent message from Dr. Perry. "Captain, we've made a breakthrough. The Zoraxians' advanced technology has a surprising weakness: common household cleaning products. We need to weaponize them on a massive scale, fast." Nicholas's mind raced, processing this new information as their vehicle swerved through the chaotic streets of New York. "Understood, Doctor. We'll retrieve Lita and rendezvous at HQ. Start mobilizing every resource we have." As they approached the dilapidated amusement park, the sky above erupted in a spectacle that defied belief. Dozens of hot air balloons, their envelopes adorned with hastily painted military insignias, rose into the air. Each balloon carried a payload of corrosive gas, a weaponized cleaning solution that hissed and sputtered as it was released. The effect on the Zoracian ships was immediate and devastating. Where the gas touched their sleek hulls, metal bubbled and dissolved. Several alien craft, their navigation systems compromised, plummeted from the sky in spirals of smoke and flame. "My God!" Sergeant Thompson breathed, his eyes wide as he watched the unlikely aerial battle unfold. Nicholas allowed himself a grim smile. Looks like humanity's got a few surprises left. Now, let's get Lita. They stormed the funhouse, their modified household weapons at the ready. Nicholas led the charge of the power washer, its stream pressurized to cut through steel. Thompson followed, wielding a leaf blower that fired concentrated blasts of abrasive cleaning powder. As they navigated the twisted corridors of warped mirrors and spinning tunnels, Terrian energy blasts sizzled past them. Lita's voice echoed through the chamber, a mixture of defiance and desperation. "Stay back, humans. I won't be your prisoner." Nicholas called out, his voice firm but not threatening. "Lita, we need your help. The Zoraxians are here, and they're making the Terrians look like a children's game. Your knowledge could save both our species." There was a moment of tense silence, broken only by the distant sounds of battle outside. Then, Lita emerged from behind a distorted mirror, her alien features set in a wary expression. "The Zoraxians? Here." She lowered her weapon slowly. "Perhaps we can negotiate." With Lita secured, they raced back to headquarters. The streets had become a battleground, with modified lawnmowers charging Zorasian ground forces. The alien troops, massive and tank-like, found their armor no match for the whirling industrial saw blades. At HQ, they found Dr. Perry orchestrating a global counteroffensive dubbed Operation Squeaky Clean. Car washes across the planet were being converted into anti-alien weapon platforms, spraying specially formulated cleaning solutions into the air. "The mist disrupts their communications and corrodes their armor," Perry explained, his fingers flying over a console cobbled together from old gaming systems and calculators. "But we need to strike at their command center to end this." Nicholas nodded, already formulating a plan. "Where's their primary ship?" A technician called out, "Massive energy signature detected over Central Park, sir." "That's our target," Nicholas declared. He turned to his team, including the newly allied Lita. "We're going to infiltrate that ship and shut it down from the inside. Gear up with everything we've got." They loaded up on an arsenal of repurposed household items. Zira checked the charge on a T-shirt cannon modified to launch concentrated pods of laundry detergent. Thompson hefted a backpack, sprayer, filled with industrial-strength drain cleaner. As they approached the looming Zorasian command ship, Nicholas felt the weight of humanity's fate on his shoulders. The vessel hung in the air like a massive, angular storm cloud, its surface shimmering with energy fields. "How do we get in?" Zira asked, eyeing the seemingly impenetrable hull. Nicholas hefted his power washer, a determined glint in his eye. "We make our own door." He unleashed a concentrated stream of pressurized water, enhanced with a cocktail of cleaning agents. The liquid struck the ship's energy field, creating a shower of sparks. For a moment, it seemed futile. Then a small breach appeared, widening under the relentless assault. "Now!" Nicholas shouted, leading the charge into the alien vessel. Inside, they faced a labyrinth of corridors pulsing with otherworldly energy. Zorasian defenders converged on them, their advanced weapons humming with deadly intent. But humanity's improvised arsenal proved surprisingly effective. Thompson's leaf blower sent clouds of abrasive powder into the air, clogging the aliens' breathing apparatus. Zira's T-shirt cannon launched pods of detergent that exploded on impact, the concentrated chemicals eating through Zorasian armor. As they fought their way deeper into the ship, Nicholas couldn't help but marvel at the absurdity of their weapons. Humanity, faced with an overwhelmingly superior foe, had turned to the contents of their kitchen cabinets and garage shelves, and it was working. They reached a massive door, clearly the entrance to the ship's control center. As Nicholas prepared to breach it, he heard a bone-chilling sound from the other side. The Zorasian Supreme Commander was waiting for them. The door slid open, revealing a cavernous chamber dominated by holographic displays and pulsing energy conduits. And there, in the center, stood their ultimate adversary, a towering figure encased in armor that seemed to absorb light itself. Nicholas raised his power washer, knowing that the coming confrontation would determine the fate of Earth. As he stared into the alien commander's inscrutable faceplate, he couldn't help but wonder what other everyday items might hold the key to humanity's survival.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.